Okay, so hello again. This is session 16. So this was only a few weeks ago now. So this was May 2025. And I've just completed session 19. So this is only, yeah, a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, session 19 was my most recent. So I've written in here. And this week has been good. We got news from the bank that the loan has been approved, the loan for building my new workspace. We're just waiting for the contracts and settlement. I feel like I'm much more supported in life. Um, we we found out at this point that the process of building a granny flat has slightly changed, and there's quite a few more things that we have to do that we didn't anticipate having to do to get plans and permits. We had to re get surveying done and re-establish our boundaries for the block. We've got someone coming Monday to do soil samples. We've got to do an engineering report. We've got to do an energy report, like all of these things that weren't necessary 6 months ago that you have to do now um, for this build. So a bit of a pain, but it is what it is. You know, in order to get what we want, we need to go through this. So yeah, um I've written all that stuff in there. Um it means yeah, there's extra costs that we weren't anticipating. I've written my car is also going in for some repairs again. Um I was watching another Get Out of the Money Matrix, a video from the Reconnected. And I've written here that what I took away from that was sometimes asking for more money means bills are going to be higher. So, um, when you're expanding your capacity to hold, part of expanding your capacity to hold is having higher bills. So not seeing that as a point of being something to be scared of, but seeing that as a point of growth. And when you can afford to pay higher bills, that's actually a win because it means you've got more money coming in. Um, it was also, we had a birthday. The oldest turned 14 and he got a whole heap of motorbike gear that completed what he needed. Um, I've written in here again, the universe has my back. Everything is always working out for me. Um, and I had a human design reading. um, a human design coaching call, I should say. And my question for this call was around joy, was around pleasure. How do I bring more joy and more pleasure into my life? And if you were watching quite a few sessions back now, I did talk about how this is playing out for me right now. And And I've also noticed at this point, last week I didn't have, or last session, I didn't really have an intention coming into the breathe. This week again, I didn't really have an intention coming into the breathe. I was in this pattern of, well, stuff's happening, but not much is really happening. Um, Stuff's happening, but not much is really happening. Um, and so, yeah, I didn't really have an intention here. I've also written, I want to note I'm losing clients in my business, but I see this as creating space for the new. I don't want to be doing petties anymore, and I don't want to be doing waxing. I don't want to be doing manis. I don't want to be doing petties. I want to be doing what I want to be doing. Um, and so, yeah, this is creating space for me, creating space for what I actually want to do. I'm also becoming more aware of my food habits. So creating a new relationship with my body was an intention from quite a few breeds ago. I'm exploring what happens in my body when I eat a really carbohydrate rich breakfast. And I noticed in my body how that made me um, want to eat more. My blood sugar levels were really irregular. So I wanted to eat more. I noticed this pattern in myself and I felt very snacky. So when I had toast or when I had porridge, I ate more. Um, and then I had more bloat when I started with toast or porridge. Um, also, I've written a note here about digestion. And in digestion, it's all about the fire of your stomach. And when your stomach has lots of fire, lots of acid, it can digest better. And our diet is not just the food that we eat. Our diet is also our environment. Our diet is also our emotional body. Our diet is also our mental body. And of course, the conversations and the people that we surround ourselves with. Um, Agni, I believe it is referred to in Ayurvedic medicine. Um, I've also just noticed some things in myself. So, um, moving away from coffee, I was drinking more black tea, and I noticed in my body that black tea made me feel bloated, and made me feel heavy and felt draining. Just noticing some little things for myself. And my intention for this week, as I said, I felt like nothing was happening, but also lots is happening. My intention for this breathe was I intend to feel expansion in the stillness and presence. So, like I said, this was coming from the feeling nothing. Um, and just talking about my week and talking about my experience is what led me to this intention. So as soon as I laid down, everything started to spin. I felt quite peaceful and quite present. I felt a tingle and a pulsation on my head around my hairline. I felt very present with these sensations. I started to feel an ache in the back of my head. I named it. So I was dialoguing and I called it out. Um, and I named it and um, it got bigger and more intense. And then I called it out again and I was like, you are uncomfortable. You have become more intense. You have become bigger. And I felt that pain from the back of my head come into my throat and it got larger again. Um, and it was like a lump in my throat. It felt hard to breathe. And so I called it out again and I internally dialoguing, um, I said, it's hard to breathe. And just naming that created a shift. And I felt that I could breathe. I felt it create a chain reaction in my body because, I was like this. I felt everything kind of become more spacious. I felt like I could breathe and I felt my breath become more spacious too. Um, I also had some, actually, before that happened, I should say that I noticed I wasn't breathing properly. Not just I couldn't breathe, but I wasn't breathing properly. I wasn't expanding my upper chest. Um, and then I started to breathe properly. I had this pain down my spine and into my rib, like a sharp pain, parallel to my spine that moved from the left side over to the right side. And I just kept breathing into these areas of discomfort. Um, the tingles in my head came and went. I was very present in the stillness, feeling the subtle sensations. I must have fallen asleep, and I awoke to the 5 minute warning at the end of the breathe. Um, I've written down here, I felt really rejuvenated after that breathwork session as well. And I've also written on the next page, which was after the breathwork session. I've just had an insightful moment for my future business. I'm loving this introduction to shadow work. I've always been a person to identify and treat the cause and not band-aid with symptoms. It feels so true for me to back away or step back from massage and being hands-on and go deeper into one-on-one or groups in shadow work, breath work, and somatics. I definitely want to be doing less hands-on and creating more time for me instead of exchanging my time for money. I'm in love with this future version of my business. So coming back to this intention of I intend to feel expansion in the stillness and presence. I, as I mentioned, I definitely had these moments of nothing's happening and nothing's never happening. I definitely had quite a few sessions there where I was falling asleep. And so I felt like nothing was happening. And so getting into this intention of nothing's happening, it actually felt really easy to move through. It felt really easy to move through this intention. It was something that I had to do, and in the next session, I felt like so much shifted. And yeah, we're only a couple of breaths away to the present moment. And so I'll just keep going. So I'll see you in the next video. So goodbye for now, and I'll see you very, very soon.